Hey, what do you say, wholeheads? Welcome to a triple Taco Tuesday. Finn, the loudmouth for the ACO. Frank Gears, the Cornhole dude. Welcome. It's been a minute. Cheers. And there it is. A little extra cold there on his beer, and that koozie will explain why here in just a moment. I am toasting you with the spirit of spirits because I, like many of you, are still getting over something. But the bottom line is we hope you had a great holiday season, restful, peaceful with your family as you turn the calendar with us in Owensboro. Understand that we're going to go back and talk about Fort Smith, Owensboro, the Super Major, and Beloit this past weekend. Hopefully everybody is back on the road to health and you had a great holiday season. A couple of things to start the new year with. We'll talk Monster Cornhole in a little bit, but one big congratulations that we want to give is to our man, Daniel Lilly, the ACO director in the UK. He finally, he sent me both of these images. No longer a bridesmaid, finally the bride. Congratulations, taking the UKCL number 4 championship. So good for you, Daniel. Well done. And coming up in May, we're going to have an opportunity to get back over to see everybody in the UK. And we'll get to more of that a little bit later on. But he sent me these. Job, Daniel. He sent me these while we were doing the broadcast, and I about fell out of my chair.
That's so good.
Laughing in Owensboro. So congratulations. And we also in Owensboro welcomed a couple of different friends to the family. One being Champion Windows. Christina and her crew were there trying to help everybody that, and I would say something that we hadn't really thought much about, but they were offering a $50,000 exterior home makeover, siding, doors, windows, whatever it is, sunrooms, whatever. And she brought up a great point. She said this area, Owensboro and southwestern Kentucky, and in the whole region, the weather has just been brutal the last handful of years. And so there are a lot of projects that people probably have put off. And so this registration for the $50,000 external home makeover was pretty well timed, actually. So hopefully I had an opportunity to go by and say hello to her. To Christina, thank you to Champion for being part of Owensboro. And we unveiled the official mortgage company of Cornhole. How about our friend Erica Bloomer? And she and her husband own Bounty Bags, and their plan was to be there as part of the major. They ran into some difficulty, but it looks like everything's okay. They're planning to be in
Knoxville. They're going to be down in Knoxville, so you'll get a chance to meet Erica and possibly get a scheduled chance to refinance a house or finance for the first time.
And she comes out of the Cornhole community, and I know you guys have had a lot of conversations. She said, well, I'd love to, especially with right now with interest rates and different things going the way that it looks like they're going to be going. She says, I can bring what I do best to people that I care about, that I want to see do well and benefit from what it is I can bring to the community. And that's really, from Junior Williams giving me Christmas fudge to her giving you $2,000 off closing costs, whatever it is you do best, when you bring it to the community benefits. So Erica, we appreciate you. Buyingwithbloomer.com is a place you can go find out a little bit more. First house, your next house, refinancing your current house, whatever it is, we want to support those who support the Cornhole community. So, Erica, we appreciate you, and thanks very much again as the branch manager for American Pacific Mortgage.
It's great. We appreciate having you on board. And I want to say, you mentioned Junior's fudge. By the way, Junior, I like your cookies and cream fudge the best.
I'm a peanut butter.
So I'm just telling you, Junior, just so you know, for future reference.
Well, I'm peanut butter, but anyway.
Thanks, Erica, for being on board.
Yeah, appreciate you guys. And again, subscribe. And I would tell you, the thing that we noticed a lot in whether it was Center Court 1 or Center Court 2 in Owensboro, the numbers over the Super Major weekend were fantastic. So whether you were watching on YouTube or when we were on Facebook, everything we were doing, a lot of eyeballs on it. Hopefully you had a good time watching. So many great games. This might have been the best major we've ever had for great games just bouncing. We were actually on our stream during breaks watching their stream on the main screen. We put it up on the main screen because so many great games are bouncing back and forth. And you'll see that when we get to some of the shots of the week and the results coming up. But remember to smash the subscribe button, hit that bell, particularly when we run into places where sometimes we have to shut down to start again. That bell is key to notifying you when new content is coming up. So remember to do that. Monster Cornhole Season 3 is already underway, and that doesn't mean we're ignoring the results of Season 2. We had a great Season 2, but next week, with no results to report, in majors, we're going to really spend some time on Monster and
I
do
love
the
it.
spinning.
We're going to do the
and
drawings
winning.
for the two big prizes, the overall winner and also the group winner out of the top 1,000. So it's good stuff. And I think already this past week, I think I was talking to Ryan, and he said we had 6 or 7 new directors already come on board. So this is a time to jump in. January, get in early because June's going to come before you know it.
Yep, and 2 seasons per year. We'll talk a lot more about that next week, but Monster Cornhole is still alive and well and kicking ass and thriving. So know that to be the case. So let's talk results. We got a lot of them. We're going to try something different this time. He's actually going to do some of them. He's going to do Fort Smith and Beloit.
I can't do it as good as you.
I will be in the Frank Gears sandwich with Owensboro in between because there's going to be a lot of blah, 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 blah in that one. So we're going to do a little something different here. So before we start with Fort Smith, again, you saw those who were in the holiday spirit there at the very beginning of the taco. Appreciate that. Jamie and Jordan, as always, leading the charge there. But I think everybody had a good time, and that's one that really has grown to be a favorite for folks. And it's because of people like Ryan, Whitney, and Craig and Ashley and Russell and Kim, which is kind of funny because now when you say these names in the ACO, it's like Cher and Sting, and Beyonce. You know exactly who we're talking about.
We know.
So appreciate that crew. BD Boards and Bags, Basement Bags on board there as well. But let's talk a little bit about the Fort Smith winners. How big was this?
Fort Smith winners, it was big. Number one, I'm kind of jealous because it's one of those that I really want to get down to. This is the second year we've done it there. But like you said, we have so many rock stars down there running the event. You don't need me or you or Eric or anybody else there. They've got it taken care of.
No opening acts, just the straight up headliners.
But yeah, exactly. So, but I loved it. The results are pretty good, man. So let's start with the women's division. In the women's, we got Lisa Hill taking down Kim Jackson for the number 1 spot in the ladies division. Rolling over to the co-ed division, just to keep women in mind. I know that's not necessarily the order, but going over to the co-ed division, I got Kennedy Meineke. See, I'm off to a good start. Partner with Sebastian Barger, taking down number 1 over Martina Belt, Russell Tabers. So congratulations to those two. In our seniors division, singles seniors, the Bear Paw himself, Gary Bear Paw, taking the number 1 spot over Art Brown. 2 solid rock stars as far as seniors goes. In the juniors premier division, I have Lonnie Campos, big name in the ACO this year for sure, taking down Danny Thornton. I don't know Danny very well. Do you know Danny very well?
I've not seen Danny, but
it's a new name for me, so I'm excited to see that. That's great. Rolling that out, we moved over to the blind draw quads in the afternoon there. We had Terry Amos partnered with Mackenzie McGee and Malachi Stevenson and Bladen Whitley taking first in the blind draw quads. In the monster blind draw, which I love the addition of the monster blind, It really gives those players who don't have anything going on early in the afternoon on Friday to do something. But that was Trey Howard and Ben Johnson taking down that in the monster blind draw. Forgot about the junior challenger, so I should not have forgot about the junior challenger because that's a big one. But in a junior challenger, we had Emma Parker oust Justin Walker for the number 1 spot in the challenger of the junior division. Later that evening on Friday, we moved into the main blind draw where we had Jared Smith and once again, a name you already heard today, Lonnie Campos. Lonnie Campos taking first place in the blind draw. Then we get on to that big Saturday, man. That's where it's all about, right? That's where it all goes down. In the World Doubles Division, let's start with the tiers and go backwards. I'm going to start with tier number 5. Tier number 5, we had Lindsey Burgess and Andrew Burrows taking down first place in tier number 5. Then moving on to tier number 4, we had Riley Ernest and Logan Ogden taking first place in tier 4 doubles there. We're in Fort Smith still. Tier number 3, we had Rihanna Hodge and Steve Boyd. Did I say that right?
Yep.
Taking down Paxton Lindley and Coyote Rogers there to take tier number 3. And then tier number 2, we had Chris Norris and Derek Vincent taking down tier number 2. Congratulations there. Now moving on to the big one, the World Doubles there. A lot of good competition there, but I'm just going to talk about the top 2 there. Levi Haddock and Chase Lester took number 2, losing to Chris Day. And once again, throwing it out for the 3rd time, this time. Lonnie Campos taking down, again, Levi Haddock and Chase Lester. All right, moving on to singles that afternoon. Singles that afternoon in Tier 3, Tier 5, we had Andrew Burrows over James Freeling. Andrew Burrows over James Freeling in Tier 5. Congratulations there. Then in Tier 4, we had Colton Peacock over Caden Myrick in Tier 4. Moving over to Tier 3, we had Nick Sample taking down Keaton Murders in Tier 3. In Tier 2, we had Trent Pepper taking down Nicole Jones. A lot of good names there in the tier division, but let's move over to the main show, the main act, the World Singles here in Fort Smith. We're going to round out the entire fleet of everybody. In the top 7 finish, we had an Alex McDonald and Braxton Francis, followed by Cameron Clark and Gavin Lesh for our top 5 finishers. And then Dustin Arendt took 4th here in Fort Smith, followed by Chris Norris taking 3rd. And then 2 big names at the top of the list. Our reigning king of cornhole took 2nd. Sebastian Barger took 2nd to a big name, a big day for Chris Day.
And a big guy.
Chris Day taking down singles and doubles that weekend in Fort Smith. So congratulations to all the great players that participated out there, particularly those names like Lonnie Campos and Chris Day.
Yeah, and it was a great tune-up, getting ready for the holiday season. A lot of smiles on a lot of faces as we watched throughout the course of the weekend, and everybody seemed to have a great time. And that, again, is the ultimate bottom line for all of this. So congratulations to our winners there. Now, sandwiched in between that weekend and this past weekend in Beloit, we did have the Owensboro Super Major, one that has become just a fantastic tentpole for us in the middle of the season, the $10,000 Pro Series skins on the line as well, which we saw 125 pros, if not more, throw frame games to get into that bracket of the final 16. And what a final bracket that turned out to be. We'll get to those results here in a moment. Sean Priest, Whitney and Jacob Garner, Craig and Ashley Irvin, Tammy and Junior Williams, Aaron Candler, Brian Jones, Mia Ray, Randy and Mary Jones, Mike and Mary Schaefer, Russell Tabers, Ryan LaBelle, Chris Clark, April Clemens, Clinton Bilo, Kim Jackson, Heinerman, Philip Arnett, Gears, and yours truly. It takes a village, literally, to invade the village of Owensboro and make this happen. Huge, huge event. I mean, this is one of the biggest events we've ever done, and Owensboro delivered yet again. Cool to see the new hotel across the way, know that there's more coming across the street. And I think the Holiday Inn, we had a great time there. I mean, everybody is just elevated. Everything in Owensboro just continues to elevate. Thanks to Mark Calitri and all the local officials that came out to spend some time with us. Thanks to our bag partners, Man Bags, Lucky's, Average Joe's, CBC, High Roller, Bullseye. Again, Bounty Bags was intended to be there, but couldn't be, but get the shout out. Anyway, Big Daddy Cornhole, BD Boards and Bags, State 31, 157 Bag Company, Brothers Bags, Elite Bags, and Jeremiah Ellis and his Vibe Bag Company were there as well. And so it was a party. And that
think Champion Windows?
Yeah, we got Champion Windows. We mentioned them earlier. And also American Pacific Mortgage was there as well. So in the main room, appreciate having everybody there and represented. So, and I want to do also, before we get into the deep results, we did run what would normally be referred to as the tailgater, which we'll have at the World Championships when we're back in Owensboro. But this weekend, particularly, we ran monster blind draws throughout the course of the weekend. Aaron Candler put this entire thing on his back, on his shoulders. He and Dana and her bartending crew carried the weight of the world upstairs at the Owensboro Convention Center. And so just a quick shout out to all the different winners. David Brown, Chip Brown. This is on draw 2. Let me see. I want to make sure. On Thursday. Okay. David Brown and Chip Brown, winners. Michael Gobin and Shannon Shemwell, winners. Byron Sisson, Uriah Melvin, winners. Anthony Frederick and Joe Sorrell, winners. Rick Kyle, Justin Kane, winners. Dale Borntrager and Michael Pennington, winners. Richard Jones, Brian Higginbotham. I think you're starting to get the gist here. Mitch Poole, Dan Oliver on Friday. Congratulations. Carl Brown, Scott Mitchell. Congratulations. Larry Jett, Malachi Stevenson. Good for you. Michael Whitelaw and Todd Choate. Take down another one. Hang on for a second. My computer wants to do a health check. It's fine. Darren Obenchain and Brian Wells, congratulations. Dalen Roberts, Joe Collins, Ross Moore, Jeff Reed, Ben Brown, Hayden Fridley, all winners. On Saturday, Tyson Walker, Rich Ostra, Hunter Malat and Kerry Gregory, Sherman Dennis, Brian Delaney, Ryan Griffith, Garrick Williams, Robert Alisea, Mick Hoaxang, Joe Curtis and Tyler Whitmer, Justin Kane, Tanner Gear, and Dale Borntrager returns again 2 days later to take down another of the Monster Blind Draws with his partner, Nick Hartzog. Congratulations to all of our Monster winners. We had great fun upstairs, and it was very well run.
Dude, that's a monster list of winners right there.
Yeah.
That's a great way. Number one, it's a great way to start the season with all those players earning points in the Monster standings.
Yeah.
And again, you already said it, but kudos to Aaron Candler and what he did up there that weekend.
Yep. All right. So let's talk a little bit about. Let me make sure I got this right. You know what? I think
that's Fort Smith.
Yeah. I've got the. I'm gonna have to go in here real quick.
Tabs different.
And pull up something different because I unfortunately.
Well, it was an awesome time in Owensboro, I got to tell you. And the cafeteria, the food still is one of the best, if not the best, places we go to. I love Owensboro, Finn, and I'm looking forward to one hell of a World Championships coming there this year. I think we've got a couple new restaurants that are going to show up, on site there. I had the opportunity to walk around town a little bit. Working on getting some of the local businesses more engaged with the ACO. Going to try to get some coupons and some deals out there for our players. But Owensboro rocks. I mean, it was a good event.
It always is, and they just, like I said, they just continue to up their game. I'm sorry, for whatever reason, I copied and pasted the Fort Smith results into the Owensboro, and I want to make sure I get this right because it is literally, I mean, you just talked about monster.
A monster list.
It was a monster list, and I want to make sure that I get all of this exactly right.
Well, you prepped me good with my list, I appreciate you getting all that together for us.
All right, so here we go. Women's singles, Kim Jackson, yeoman's work on the social media stuff, as always, great stuff. Kennedy Meineke and Kendall Cox. What a women's division that turned out to be. I mean, we started and we went 5 or 6 hours again on women's, 7 hours into seniors. It's just insane.
Am I right in thinking it was Owensboro that Kim went and picked up the bags? Is that where that whole thing went down?
Yes. Kim Jackson, who just was mad about a shot she made and just put her head down and went down to collect her bags, not realizing that Kennedy still had one in her hand. And it was, if you go back and watch, you can hear everybody yelling at her, don't touch the bags. But again, as I mentioned on the stream, it would be a perfect ad for Beats noise-canceling headphones because she didn't hear a thing. The closest thing was, I think I told Dustin Aaron, I said, you should have just dove out over in front of her and stopped her. But bottom line is, it was what it was, and she was still able to come back and overcome that in a second game. Congratulations to Kim Jackson. In senior singles, Gary Bearpaw once again came in there, and that was a battle. He defended his king seat there against Damon Dennis. That game was a long one to be sure, but man, there were some great methodical shots made there. As always, in junior challenger is Ella Haycraft taking down the first spot. Lonnie Campos once again comes out on top over Amari Scott and Bryce Jefferson in juniors premier co-ed doubles. Lisa Hill and Brandon Lacewell once again showing their dominance as a great doubles team. And Jordan Kirk and Chris Day put on a hell of a battle. That was that went late into the evening because of the way the schedule laid down on Saturday. But Jordan and Chris played on center court for about 2 solid hours. And Lisa and Brandon had to come in there and get it done in 2. But that was a fun one to watch. Josh Brown, Mike Dingus, Chris Warren, and Jason Skelton took blind draw quads. And let's see, the monster blind draw, or the ACO blind draw number 1, it was Ryan Griffith and Caleb Hurt very early on in the weekend. ACO blind draw number 2, Chris Norris and Wyatt Rosengren take the blind draw 2. In the monster blind draw, Mike Walters and Josh Brown. Congratulations to you guys. And we'll get to the Pro Series here in just a moment, but let's talk about doubles. Tier 2, congratulations, Robert Alisea and Chris Hessler. Tier 3, Jamie Smith and Jordan Kirk. I know they were bouncing around with their trophies, happy because they had just finished kind of conquering a few majors before Tier 4. They're really thrilled to grab Tier 3 honors right there. Todd Taylor and Tanya Lambert did take Tier 4, and Alec Tinker and Randy Hicks took Tier 5. And what a murderer's row this doubles was. And doubles was being run behind us on CBC Court 2, and just some great shot making, some great team work there as well. Terry Mathis and Corey Morrison tied for 7th with Ryan Hart and Keegan Brown. Stuart Graham and Kendall Cox put up a mighty fight to tie for 5th with Jacob Foreman and Gary Bear. Paul River Cole and Shibby Shibner take 4th. And then Jeremiah Ellis and Micah Johnson fought for 3rd. Josh Holland and Kanan Culberson came up against Doug Parker and Lonnie Campos for the championship. And it was Parker and Campos who came out on top there. And that was, like I said, a murderer's row to get through. What a tournament that doubles tournament turned out to be. So let's move on to singles before we get to the Pro Series. In the tiers, we had split bracket tiers, if that tells you.
Split bracket tiers.
Any idea what happened? In Tier B, in World Singles, Tier 5B, Danielle Akers. In A, it was Riley Broster who ended up being the overall winner. In Tier 4, Danielle Losi, who we saw throw some great bags early on in the women's division. Great stuff. She took B, and then the overall winner in Tier 4 was Buddy Jones. Congratulations. Tier B, or in B, bracket B of Tier 3, Zach Avalone ended up being the overall winner because the Tier 3A bracket winner was Lewis Clemmer. Jaden Parks took Tier 2 bracket B and was the overall winner. Fred Rice, congratulations on being the bracket A winner there. And again, just like in every other division, what a singles final this ended up being. Corey Morrison and Micah Johnson and Lonnie Campos and Sebastian Barger tied for 9th. Think about the names I just said right there. Zach Mitchell, David Brown tied for 7th. Travis Jordan and Drew Dixon tied for 5th. Kanan Culberson, who had himself a great weekend and has adjusted his throw just a little bit. I think he's added a little longevity to his game with that throw adjustment. Takes 4th. Isaac Hurt, up out of nowhere, a name you hadn't heard all weekend long, takes 3rd. And then it was a battle between Jeremiah Ellis and CJ Sligance. Jeremiah Ellis exerted his dominance, and he really just put his foot down like we saw him do a couple of years ago when he made his big run towards the King of Cornhole. Congratulations, Jeremiah and CJ Sligance, on a great singles tournament.
Can I make one observation here, Finney?
Yeah.
We talk about this all the time when it comes to the World Championships, right? We talk about who is going to be and when will it happen that we have a repeat king. You know, we've had only one in the history. We're looking for that second one. This year we have more kings on hand than ever. But this tournament in Owensboro, Kentucky was a mini Worlds. It really was.
No doubt.
With the number of players you're talking about in the Pro Series, 134 or 125, whatever it was, we had some of the best players in the ACO in the world of cornhole here that weekend in Owensboro. I was looking at that top 10 that you were showing me there. Not only did I see 3 kings in that top 10, 2 of those kings were in the top 3. Mm-hmm. So I think that this is a season, if there is a season, that this might be the season that we get that repeat.
Yep, there's no doubt. And I would tell you, after we go through the Beloit results, you might have a good idea who my pick is. And I do have 2 or 3 people kind of in the back of my head that I'm going to keep a very close eye on over the next 2 months, because I think that's going to be very telling. We have one king right now who's suffering a little bit of a crisis of confidence, but I don't think he should be. And you know who you are. It rhymes with Sebastian Barger. Knock it off, pal. You're very, very good. But I'll tell you something. We've got some great talent in there, but there is one guy who I see the fire in his eye the way I saw it a couple of years ago, and his name rhymes with Jeremiah Ellis. All right, let's talk about the Pro Series skins very quickly. 115, 120, 125 plus pros fighting for that bracket of 16. That bracket of 16 wrapped up like this: Riley Brewster, Richard Jones, Dustin Arant, Tony Franco Sr., Parker Burgett, Noah Dennis, Josh Holland, Kaz Barkley, Caleb Hurt, Gavin Lesh, Drew Dixon, Tony Pena, Karsten Morris, Karsten the Younger, Sebastian Barger, Sammy Van Sickle, and the #1 Pro Series skins money winner and the big old wooden thing trophy winner. How about Amari Scott? Good for him. and did it just cool
Maury,
as the proverbial cucumber. Came over after the match was over. Had no idea really how much money he had won. I did, $2,300 and the trophy to take with him. So that was a hell of an effort on his part. So congratulations, Amari Scott. And again, that's one of those names you had better keep your eye on, because he, Lonnie Campos, Sebastian, Isaac, certainly Jeremiah. You know, I talked to Craig Irvin. He said he knows he's got some work he's got to get in there and do. We talked about the fact that EZ is back and he's refocusing. You know, where's his head with regard to wanting that repeat? You know, I don't know. Or could it be just a name out of nowhere? Could it be Kanan Culberson? Could it be Scotty Ball? I don't know. We've seen so many great performances, but bravo to everyone there. And thanks again to everybody who came out and made Owensboro so special. Once again, we will see you there the final full week of July. Okay. And again, as a reminder, when I say that, I'm talking about Owensboro's July 21st through the 25th. It's not to the end of the month. It's the final Saturday of July is American Cornhole Organization World Cornhole Day. That is Championship Saturday. That is the 25th. So as you're making your plans, know that the final Saturday of July is always ACO World Cornhole Day. And that's when we will wrap up the Worlds. One more set of results to get through. My man's going to take it over here while I sit over here and nurse my aching vocal cords. Well, you're welcome.
First thing, you got to tell me, because I like you, because you did it for Fort Smith. Congratulate the team that was there to set up and run this thing for me.
Aaron Candler, Burton Grimes, appreciate you. Whatever it takes, Cornhole there doing yeoman's work on center court. Obviously, you were there making it happen. Brian Jones, our boy Matt Boson there in Beloit as well. And as always, I think everybody was digging the facility. Looking forward to a long and happy life together with Beloit, Wisconsin. And we got to see some players that we didn't get to see in Owensboro or we didn't get to see in Fort Smith. And some of the names that pop up to the top, you won't be surprised.
Well, it was really cool. First, before I go into this, Thursday night we did have a welcome bash, Finn, that was a charity event that was for Meals on Wheels, I believe.
Nice.
The local Chamber of Commerce through that. And a great tournament, great result. Again, Aaron and I were there to run that, and appreciate everybody that came out and supported that cause. Well, moving on to Friday morning there in Beloit. This is our last time, too, Finn, that we're going to be in this facility that we ran at in Beloit.
Okay.
So all these champions, have become part of history in this particular venue that we participated in. We're going to start with women's singles. This is a big name that everybody knows, Wisconsin, product up there, but our world champion several times, I believe now, but Maggie Machine Gun Geiger. So taking down Kennedy Meineke for the women's division there. In the seniors division, we had Timmy Key taking down Bruce Lalonde. And then we had juniors challenger division. We had Braxton Gammon. Braxton Gammon winning his, I think that might be his first trophy. So I congratulated him over Will Huey. And then in the juniors premier, we had Drew Blauvelt. Drew Blauvelt. He's a new one. I just met him. He's a small 10-year-old, not a small 10-year-old, but he's a 10-year-old, smaller kid. Wearing his ball cap and playing like a beast all weekend long.
He was putting it to a lot of the juniors in Owensboro.
Was he?
I was keeping my eye on things going on behind me, and I kept seeing Drew Blauvelt, and I'm like, Isaac Hurt will tell you about Drew Blauvelt.
He's darn good, man. So taking out Merrick Finsky. Moving on to the co-ed doubles in the afternoon there, or early afternoon. Once again, the machine gun comes out. Maggie Geiger and Wayne Rao taking down Martina Belt and Russell Tabers. We had the quad blind draws in the middle of the afternoon. First place was awarded to Tracy Kodrick, Garrick Williams, Logan Piggott, and Scotty Ball. A nice foursome there that ends up winning the quad blind draw there in Beloit. Then we move over to the other event that I keep telling you how much I like it, the addition of this monster blind draw to give those players that don't have anything to do at this time slot something to do. And it was won by Justin Doberson over Merrick Finsky. Or not over Merrick Finsky. Justin and Merrick ended up winning that and taking that down. So we moved into Saturday where we got our doubles and singles taking place.
We still have the big blind draw.
Big blind. Yeah. Big blind. See, that's why this is my coach over here getting me through this. The big blind draw. In the evening of Friday there in Beloit, we got Matt Heading and Merrick Finsky over Garrick Williams and Dan Schulten. So
Merrick doubles up on the blind draws, the monster blind draw and the big blind draw. How about that?
That's pretty solid. I like to see that.
Pretty good blind draw partner to draw, Merrick.
Well, yeah, I know. And the machine gun would be a good woman partner.
No doubt. No doubt.
Way to go, Wayne. Maggie, way to carry him. I heard the whole story, the background story, how Wayne never wanted to play with Maggie in the early days because Maggie wasn't very good. And then finally Maggie proved herself to be good, gets on the team with Wayne, and now Wayne's just a sidekick carrying the bags. That's all I can say. Moving on to the World Doubles, taking place on Saturday. In Tier 5, Tim Gossett and Sid Carlisle take first place over Charlie Brown, the fourth, and Faye Lloyd, the Barefoot Wonder out there. Tier number 4 in the World Doubles division, Tracy Kodrick and Anthony Stover over Randy Thompson and Steph Shea. Steph, good seeing you this weekend. Great pitching. She beat me down in a game we played in doubles. And then I got Tier 3. I got Ryan Patterson and Matt Heading over Denny Harold and Kirkland Harold. In Tier 2, a name you hear a lot, Chris Norris and Carter Bennett took down Fred Rice and Jody Thurman. So that's a great finish for that Tier 2. Moving on to the World Doubles there. In our top 4, we had Matt Gaiman and Todd Gaiman. The Gaiman brothers over Zach Dawson and Colby Baskins. Took third. Second place was going to Sebastian Barger and Scotty Ball, big names in the ACO. But they took second to Jeremiah Ellis and Daniel Wine.
And Jeremiah was bound and determined that he was coming in there to get Daniel that jersey, and he wasn't going home without it. I was watching that final match, and he was absolutely committed to Daniel on that. I really that was a good game to watch. Sebastian and Scotty threw great bags, but it was really cool to see Jeremiah fight for Daniel the way that he did.
Okay, Jeremiah had a pretty darn good weekend for sure. Yeah. No, that was great to see. All right, on to the finals, the World Singles Division. We're going to talk about the tiers backward. We had Tier 5. Steph Shea taking down Tier 5 for the first place finish over Mike Quinnell. Is that how you say that? Do you know?
Sure.
Let's go with that.
Why wouldn't it be?
So, Steph, congratulations on that first place finish in Tier 5.
Now, what was weird about this, though, is that we did Tier 5, and then we skipped right to Tier 3 and 2. There was no Tier. Why didn't we not run a Tier 4 this time?
I was maybe thinking of doing that, but I'm glad that you did that, because I'm going to do that. Now that you led the way.
You knew it was coming.
Oh, Tier 3.
You've already seen the picture.
Tier 3, Stevie over Jason Hayes in Tier 3. Congratulations,
Wait, you
Stevie.
skipped Tier 4.
I know. Coming back to it.
There it is.
There it is. Tier 4. It was Amanda Huey took second in a great game against a guy by the name of Frank the Cornhole Dude Gears. And I want to tell you, dude, it was a hell of a good game. It was a hell of a good run by me. That championship game, I'm not going to talk long about it. I have to throw out the stats because it was pretty good, right? Final game against Amanda, I threw a 9-2-9 for 17 frames, and she threw like an 8-7 or an 8-8, something like that. Ended up winning like 21-15 or 21, something like that, 21-15, 13. But I ended up winning the game, dude. And it was a hell of a good run, and it wasn't like I didn't have competition to play. Tier 4, throwing a 9-2-9 in the championship game, that's pretty special. I just had to put it in.
Good for you.
Nice job, Frankie.
Yeah, good for you. I can't reach all the way over there with my
All right, Tier 2. Tier 2, arms. Singles. I had number 1, Jeff Nelson, taking down Riley Quinnell. In Tier 2. Now moving on to the World Singles in Beloit. Last time ever in the building. Going through the top eight players here. Matt Gammon and Keelan Pritchard took 8th place, 7th place. Our 5th place finishers were Tanner Miller and Colby Baskins. Our 4th place finisher was Zach Dawson. 3rd place, a name we talked about in Owensboro, taking down that Pro Series, Amari Scott. And then back to what we already talked about, the potential with a couple of these and all these kings. Jeremiah Ellis takes down Sebastian Barger to claim the Beloit title there. So congratulations to the world singles finisher, champion Jeremiah Ellis and Sebastian Barger for a great run.
Yeah, and 2 back-to-back championships for Jeremiah and multiple back-to-back fantastic majors for all of those names you mentioned there. Ellis, Barger, Scott, Dawson, just top-notch stuff. And again, keep your eye out on some of those names over the next couple of months, because again, this is about where the run from Sebastian came last year heading into Tulsa. This is about where 2 years ago Jeremiah kicked in Grand Traverse, where he basically said, "Bring it, everybody, come at me. I've got you. No worries." And he put his foot down. So we'll find out who's got it. Does Amari Scott have the I don't know what the word is. I'm not going to say tenacity. He's so laid back. Does he have that fire in his belly just yet, or is that still developing? Who's it going to be? There's no way of knowing. Is Isaac, who admittedly says he's not practicing as much as he was, is he going to show up kind of like he did in Owensboro and just come in and make some noise? I don't know, and that's what's fun for us now, because for many years you kind of did know. Right now you don't know. So anyway, and thanks to Cisco and Ruthless Bags. I saw some photos in there with you and that crew as well for being there.
Yeah, it was. I always have fun with that group from Ruthless, and they had a good turnout too. So
very good. All right, we know this has been running long. We're going to get to some shots of the week, and then we're going to put the wraps on it. But survey winners, again, surveys very important. I know we're announcing when the surveys hit your mailbox while we're at majors. Be on the lookout for those. Make sure you check your junk mail or your spam mail or whatever. Just fill those out. It's very important. It could earn you entries into upcoming majors, as it did in Fresno for Eric Wilson, as it did in Fort Smith for Floyd Sanderson, and as it did in Owensboro for Sean Ross. Congratulations, and thank you very much for filling out all of those surveys. We'll do shots of the week. We got 2 of them to share with you, and then a third one that has created a new nickname that is taking the cornhole world by storm.
Oh, wait, but don't forget, I've almost forgot we had just saw this back here.
I was going to talk about that with the upcoming majors.
Perfect.
So anyway, let's talk about shots of the week. We're still looking in the rearview mirror, then we'll look ahead. Let's turn things over to the guy who knows the shots of the week and the woman who knows how to put them together better than anybody, Rich and Tracy Pyle.
Welcome to this segment brought to you by Hole Nation. I'm your host, Rich Pyle. I'm going to show you a cornhole shot from a recent tournament. A pivotal shot, a game-changing shot, a shot you don't get to see every day. Check out this shot of the week.
This week's shot of the week comes to us from the ACO Super Major in Owensboro, Kentucky, where Braden Easterling and Todd Gammon are battling in the singles division. 2 in a row from Braden Easterling, who is holding nothing back. First, he sees an opportunity to clean up the boards with a bar of soap shot that shoots Todd's bag to the back of the hole. And if that wasn't enough, he ones that same bag right off the back. Great shots, Braden.
Thanks for watching this week's Shot of the Week. Now let's turn it back over to the Taco Show with Frank and Finn at the ACO World Headquarters. Frank, Finn?
Thanks, Rich. That was one of 2 that we're going to share from Hole Nation. The first one, Braden, great stuff, great shoot there, and Todd's reaction is fantastic. There's a reason we showed you that one first, and we're saving the last thing to last. In between, speaking of reactions, check out some of the reactions in the background of this shot of the week.
Welcome to this segment brought to you by Hole Nation. I'm your host, Rich Pyle. I'm going to show you a cornhole shot from a recent tournament. A pivotal shot. A game-changing shot. A shot you don't get to see every day. Check out this shot of the week.
This shot of the week comes to us during the Pro Series at the ACO Super Major in Owensboro, Kentucky, between Tony Franco and Sebastian Barger. Both Tony and Sebastian have left some dirty laundry on the board. So Tony decides to scrub-a-dub-dub and throw a bar of soap that knocks Sebastian's bag to the back of the hole while draining his 2 bags. But wait, there's more. Sebastian throws it in an extra spin cycle and airmail drags the bag that was just pushed to the back. In the ACO-PRO series, every shot counts. Great shot, Tony. And great shot, Sebastian.
Thanks for watching this week's Shot of the Week. Now let's turn it back over to the Taco Show with Frank and Finn at the ACO World Headquarters. Frank, Finn?
That's great stuff. And Lonnie's reactions in the back, I think, speak for us all. So thanks to Whole Nation, Rich and Tracy, for those shots of the week. And then one other that we wanted to revisit for those who maybe missed it on the stream because you were there and you didn't see it until today. But it's generated a whole new nickname. We've come up with new nicknames. I mean, Sebastian Barger has now earned the Punisher. And I think I've assigned Lonnie Campos as the chess master. But Todd Gammon, who you saw in that first clip there against Braden Easterling, this is one that I don't think I saw this happen live, and I think I only saw it when you ran the replay after this on center court. Who's he playing against here? All right, well, we'll see here in just a moment. But watch the reaction here, and this is Randy Wall. Do it again. This is Todd.
Do it again.
Thruster Gammon. Bang.
That is so good.
That is one of my favorites. If that doesn't turn into a GIF file, I don't know what will.
No, it's got to be. It's got to be.
Good
it's
stuff.
So good.
Well done, Thruster. Way to go. All right. That wraps up Shots of the Week and Images of the Week. Real quickly, upcoming majors. Nothing this weekend. We look ahead to the following weekend, and that would be the return to Knoxville, which, as you made mention, this T-shirt has been custom designed. Cherish Tabers put this together. This will be available in Knoxville. It's pretty cool.
It'll be available in Knoxville. It'll be sold for $20 for one of these T-shirts. It's an awesome deal. And so make sure you bring an extra $20 on you to grab one of these T-shirts because it's badass.
Customized, one-of-a-kind type stuff, quick short-run prints. We saw some in Owensboro that everybody seemed to be grabbing right up, hoodies and T-shirts and the whole thing. So Cherish, nicely done. Great stuff. I love that look. So again, and that's not the only thing that's happening in Knoxville. Parking is a big deal. Brand new deal put together in that popular parking lot that's kind of right there behind
It's kind of behind up the little hill, back where the dock doors are. So it's on the back corner. And we'll get a map, a little PDF or something, a little JPEG put together of where exactly it is. But Finn, there'll be 150 spots there. We have rented we've bought the parking lot out so our players don't have to pay to be there. And we're going to have a security person that'll be on hand Friday. It'll be open between 7 and 11 is when our security guard will be there. So make sure you get in there early enough to get a spot because we're trying to keep the general public out of there. This is for ACO people only. Same thing on Saturday, but the hours will be from 6:30 to 10:30. That will have a security guard on hand, making sure that only ACO players get to park in that space. There is 150 spots that should almost accommodate the majority of everybody that needs a place to park. So we always have that issue in Knoxville, as you know, with parking places and where we go. We now have a really good spot for everybody to park.
Yep. And when we can do stuff like that, we do stuff like that. It's as simple as that. So Knoxville is set. Hard to believe we're just 2 weekends away now from returning to Medford. And that is crazy. The 30th and the 31st, Medford, Oregon. Then it's Valentine's Day weekend. The Dalton Major in Dalton, Georgia, another one that's become a circle on your calendar type of thing. Followed up the final weekend of February 27 and 28, Clarksville, Tennessee, and this is at a brand new venue, the Dunn Center.
Bigger, better than ever.
Yeah.
So it's allowing us to make sure that we can support more players because we know Clarksville is one of those marquee events on the ACO calendar, like Owensboro. like Knoxville, that have big crowd, Hamilton, Ohio, that have big crowds that come to them. And we now are accommodating that.
Yeah, next week when we have more time to talk and we don't have results to go over, we'll show you some images and things like that of the Dunn Center, just to give you a good feel for the brand new venue in Clarksville. After that, March 6th and 7th, it's Tulsa. 27th and 28th, Erie, Pennsylvania, and Peoria that same weekend. April 3rd and 4th, back to Shreveport, Bossier, and that's going to be another pro series right there. April 10th and 11th.
Did you miss the Vegas one? Erie, Pennsylvania, that weekend of Erie and
oh, that's right, the
Peoria,
Vegas.
We got the Vegas one.
Yeah, I didn't have that added in on the schedule yet, but that's back to the Weston Lake venue where we just were
Las Vegas,
about
Lake
a month
Las
and a half
Vegas.
ago. Yeah, Lake Las Vegas there, Weston Lake. So that'll be that same weekend. And then Shreveport, Bossier. Then Upland, California, the Coquel Casino Major. That's out in Oregon, April 17th and 18th, as is Dallas, which we're working to reconfigure to figure out where we're going to host that one. But again, Coquel Casino Resort and Spa Major there, April 17th and 18th. Brand new venue in Oregon. Another opportunity for West of the Rockies folks to really show up and show out. And then May 1st and 2nd, Mobile, Alabama, and ACO Europe. So that's a bunch to chew off or bite off and chew.
Don't forget Canada's in there somewhere. Oh, that's the beginning. You didn't go
I haven't gotten
you didn't go later in the month.
No, I'm just
okay, you just stopped there.
Getting us to May.
You're rolling out the season.
No, we got plenty. Like I said, that's a big bite, a lot to chew. Make sure you're looking ahead of the schedule. Make your plans accordingly. Some brand new ones in there. And again, don't forget Vegas returning there to the Weston Lake there in Lake Las Vegas. So I think that's going to do it. My vocal cords are just about shot. Next week, we'll have time to fill. We'll have picks coming up for Knoxville. We'll revisit a lot of what we covered here for that upcoming major and things off in the future, new venues, etc., anything else we have to tweak. In the meantime, thanks again. Eric, I hope you and yours are doing well. We'll look forward to seeing you and the folks from American Pacific Mortgage, the official mortgage company of Cornhole in Knoxville, Tennessee. And in the meantime, I'm Finn, the loudmouth for the ACO, giving your Taco Tuesday back to you, as he is Frank Ears, the Cornhole dude, reminding you, as always,
keep on pitching.
Hi, I'm Rich Pyle, the host of Hole Nation, where we share everything this cornhole and a lot more. Follow us on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube, and catch our new videos every Wednesday at 7. And remember, whether it's sticky or slick side down, bring it.